Markets are in complete meltdown. Today, I want to do something a little bit different, and that is take a look at maybe some opportunities here at the bottom. You guys don't want to miss it. Let's just jump right in. I do want to thank our sponsor, and that is Tangem. You guys can, and especially in times like this where the markets are falling, many times you just got to close the laptop, walk away, lock up your assets in a self-custody wallet. And the way you can do that is just jump over to tangem.com. Use our link down below. It's going to give you true ownership. No banks, no exchanges, just you and your digital asset. Check it out. Use our link down below. It's going to give you a little bit more of a discount and get going on the 3-card set. That's the one you want. So let's get started today. And I want to showcase two particular strategies here. And Netflix and Avalanche may be on the cusp of something very interesting. If you look at Netflix right now, completely getting demolished, and many people have been asking, what's been causing this? I mean, I think everybody, if you look out on Crypto X, it is absolutely everyone just trying to figure out why is this going down with everything else that's been in essence good. And if you look at it this way, remember they tried to buy Warner Brothers, they tried to buy Roku, and then Lionsgate. So these could have been all companies that they dodged bullets on, because remember they had kind of a budget that they were putting out there. They couldn't get them for that. Ended up getting purchased by other companies. Maybe they dodged a bullet and they can now focus on other things that are happening. And especially if you look at the current stock of Netflix, just to go over into this right now is one of the most underperforming out there on the NASDAQ 100. And it's by a large margin. We are continuing to see this one take a wipeout. And that might be the time when you want to strike. This is interesting because you've got Netflix getting cooked, even though they won the streaming wars. I'd agree with that. People think Bitcoin's going to zero, and we've got all kinds of drama going on with MicroStrategy and Stretch. Then you've got Microsoft, which they think is going to be disrupted. And I think that they're all wrong. I think we're going to see a continuation of these kinds of companies and these kinds of assets to continue to fly and maybe get them in the right place at the right time. Netflix spent the last 10 years compounding. Remember, Netflix subscribers plus 850%, operating income is way up, revenue is through the roof, EPS through the roof. All of this while their valuation is approaching the 10-year 22 low. And if you look at just the cash on hand right now, Netflix is absolutely brimming. I mean, they haven't had this much money ever. Granted, they had some of that money locked up because they were trying to buy some of those assets, but now they're going to have a chance to maybe double down on the acceleration of content. And I think this is something that you got to pay attention to, and it could be something that gets ready to leap forward in how content is created. Look at what happened over on Seedance. This is like the 2.5 version, and it is the mythos moment for video models, more than 30 seconds. And of course, this is going to be a big one because we're going to see a huge boom, and this is just the beginning, a huge boom in video creation. I want to go to a clip real quick because this is the Netflix CTO talking about how they're going to use AI to make your experience better. Take a look.
I honestly think one of the most impactful will be the member experience that we build that helps to solve a consumer frustration that's brewing, which is there's so much content. How do I make sense of it? So that's going to be a big one. That's been a strength for Netflix for a long time. Of course, there's also going to be applications for content creation. So those are spaces where the example like Interpositive that we talked about earlier, a lot of the solutions that are on the market are things that do not deeply understand the creative process. We have been working on many of those problems internally. We definitely have a build leaning for much of that. So we've been working with productions and building our own tools.
And what you saw there was really one of the biggest pain points we have right now with Netflix, and that is too much content can't really dissect what you want to watch, because in most cases there's a lot of sludge in there. And this is something I think AI is going to continue. And what you saw there on that clip with Affleck is that he created an AI company, I guess an AI tool, that was implemented and then eventually acquired by Netflix. So could they be in the maybe early stages of getting AI development framework for creators, filmmakers, to be able to utilize some of those tools that Affleck created and start an absolute new phase of AI content creation on Netflix? That's what we're going to be watching very closely, and that is the early stage of maybe another major boom, because AI would be an angle for Netflix that would play in to what, of course, the market has been doing over the last several months. The other thing you have to look at is, and if you guys watched a video we did the other day, we had there was an analyst on there, and he was talking about there was two things to watch that were green on this huge red day that was happening on the S&P and also in crypto. Avalanche was one of them, which was up, and then Netflix was the other one that was also slightly green. And that is something that I think could be holding strong here. And there's some reasons that this all connects together. They have just now started to really move into tokenized stocks. And this is, if you look at just an example of the platform growth, Denari, which is the Avalanche platform that's moving right now, the 30-day growing dramatically. This is just the beginning, guys, for them. And the other thing that you have to look at is where they are. Remember, this is SpaceXD, which is powered by Denari. This is the first U.S. equity to trade. U.S. equity, not perp, U.S. equity to trade on Hyperliquid's native ordering book. So that means voting, all those kind of scenarios that play into traditional shares. This is a big deal because it could be huge for Avalanche. If you take a look at just Denari, on Denari alone, and you look at them just launching with the SpaceXD, look at the transaction growth here. And this is not easy to get to. So the fact that there's growth on this and early stage, this could be a good sign for Avalanche for sure. And remember, Avalanche very suppressed, one of the hardest hit tokens, now in barely making into the top 30, could be one that really starts to take off here. I want to go to a clip here, and this is a clip of Ophelia Snyder coming in formerly from 21 Shares, and John Woo. And they're talking about the idea of why it's taking so long for Avalanche to get into the RWA space. Reason is they're building under the hood, which is kind of the boring stuff. The only difference is many of the companies need to be building that now, which is going to slow them down. Avalanche already in that space. Take a look at this.
We haven't solved the problem of a blockchain can absolutely take this amount of throughput in terms of transaction speed and transaction volume. Fine. How does that then work with how a bank or brokerage or an asset manager is actually structuring their internal controls and their internal bookkeeping? How does that connect to the regulatory reporting requirements? We haven't solved any of these issues yet.
Broadridge Financial Solutions, NYSE, a global technology leader that processes $8 trillion in tokenized assets every month, is expanding its reach into the digital asset space and is partnering with Avalanche.
You know, everyone wants tokenized real world assets, but they forget, like, you need systems underneath that. Who's going to do all the stuff behind the scenes that make your ownership of a company, your proxy vote, all that stuff smooth, compliance or regulation, and et cetera, et cetera. Broadridge is the leader. They have announced, and we're very proud to say, a deal where they're going to do the on-chain tokenized equities and put that record on an Avalanche blockchain. So they're partnering with us to do that. And very shortly, the Galaxy equity will be one that's going to be put into the Avalanche blockchain through Broadridge. And that's a big part of traditional, equities. So
the issue that Ophelia was posing is that this has not been done yet. Then you had John coming in and saying, hey, we've got the company that's actually integrating these kinds of requirements to be able to get this stuff done in RWA. And that is something that is showcasing now on Avalanche's new branding. So they talk about it here over the past several months. We've been focused on one thing, showing what's possible when blockchain tech is put to work. They've rebranded this on technology built for business, which is very important because if there is a winner, and if you go to their website, this was kind of new too. We had not seen this update from Avalanche. So if you look at the opportunity here, especially as we start to see businesses and enterprises using, they're going to go to the infrastructure that works best. Avalanche Summit also is getting ready to launch. That's this fall. It's going to be in New York. And guess what? You've got all the players right there in New York. Everybody is there. Decisions are made there, etc. I think this is a big swing to the fences for Avalanche. This is a big time for them to be going. And if you look at just the validator distribution right now, this is primary, proof of stake, even proof of authority. This is the kind of layer that they've put together, which is very diversified. Another thing you want to take a look at is just how much AVAX is being burned. These are the L1s index. You can kind of go in and I'll zoom in on a few of those. You can kind of see there's Denari right there. That's FIFA coming in right there. This is interesting because this is burning Avalanche, and all across these L1s continues to build an ecosystem benefit that a lot of chains do not have. Another thing I want to hit on is FIFA. FIFA wanted Avalanche's blockchain to help curb their ticketing scalping. And this is something we've talked about for many years, actually have talked about the ticketing issue. Blockchain could solve it. Avalanche was the closest chain that we saw of being able to do it. And that is the fact. If you look at some of the things that they did, this RTB, which is the right to buy, this is the entitlement that gives fans priority access to purchase a specific ticket before it becomes publicly available. And that, of course, is living on Avalanche. These are the figures by Avalabs. More than 100,000 RTBs issued to date. 50,000 World Cup tickets have been distributed in bundles with these RTBs. Secondary markets coming into play, surpassing 50 million. Point being is there is a absolute bonanza happening here for FIFA. And if this happens across other major sporting leagues, you could see the opportunity here is pretty big. Just to give an example, I'll go over here to understanding the right to buy for FIFA tournaments. They go through the breakdown that it provides a unique advantage by allowing fans to purchase tickets directly through FIFA Collect, but bypassing the uncertainty of the lottery. But the way you do it is through all these little quests, so to speak, glory packs, surprise packs, etc. But it kind of locks out, the scalpers. It locks out the people that, have a lot of money that just say, I'm going to buy a bundle of these and give them away. And it gets the true fans into the game. So I think this is a pretty interesting point. This is, as of 2026, FIFA unfolds across North America. One of the biggest real world tests for blockchain is now happening behind the scenes. That's the point that I'm getting at. And of course, Avalanche very tied into this. If you look at this, because it's now mainstream, and Polymarket, more than 3 billion trade on the World Cup winner, Kalshi, 500 million. The ADI Predict Street, the official prediction market of the World Cup, only 57,000. So that just shows you how much is moving on blockchain and why this is such an important move. And Avalanche is centered at the beginning of it. Another thing is Netflix also launching their biggest gaming test. And of course, it's centered around FIFA. I think everybody is in there. And that's going to be another factor that puts Netflix at the front. Coincidentally, Avalanche is actually the only chain that has done something with Netflix. Interesting parity here. Remember, we talked about this quite some time ago, but this was a feature that basically allowed you to do all sorts of interactivity while watching on something like a Netflix, and this could especially go wild if you had this during a sporting event, live sporting events. Another interesting move by Netflix was they acquired Ready Player Me. All these are making sense because we've had all these guys on the show. But Ready Player Me, of course, locked in. It's going to allow Netflix surprisers take their own customized personas, fandom across different games. You're going to be able to interact with other players, etc. Ready Player Me, another big player that I think gets into the future of where this goes for Netflix. Big moves happening in 3D AI characters. This, of course, is Netflix talking about that. But now Apple is following with Animoca. So you've got both companies vying for what will be 3D AI characters moving forward. And if you look at Animoca, this is called Ani.ai. This is the kind of stuff that Apple is buying. I'm not sure about this one just yet. We'll see. And then you have Avalanche, of course, jumping into the game right here. And this was Yumio, another 3D AI agent. But remember, Netflix is able to do all of this acquisition, all this stuff with AI, what we're going to see in terms of content creation by dodging the bullet and not ending up buying on Warner. That may end up be their saving grace for Netflix. I want to go to a clip real quick because this is talking about where these 3D AI characters could go. This is in reference to Yumio on Avalanche. Take a look.
We've been working on a feature to bring your Mios out of the web app and onto your desktop. Can you take the first couple of rows in column A, minus the number 7, and display them in column B, please?
So I'll subtract 7 from each number in column A and put the results in column B, man.
Okay. Knowing what you know about my preferences, which of the articles on this news site should I begin with?
Politics aside, there's something heavy about officials getting condemned for taunting people in detention, you know? The Trump-Putin ceremony comparison is interesting too if you're into the whole geopolitical theater thing.
Dude, I'm setting up a bowling alley and I'd like you to set up the website for me. Fill it with movie references too.
All right, man.
Boom. Here we go. Not a bad attempt. Hey, dude, play something that I can listen to while I work.
So what you saw there was something that is running on one of the bigger AI platforms out there, Claude. But the point is that this starts to change things up pretty dramatically. If you remember, Animoca and Avalanche collaborated to support this kind of next generation ecosystem of where most of this stuff could be going. I want to go to another clip real quick. This was Yatsu and John Wu talking about it. Take a look.
And so that's the thing. We're going to drive users into that ecosystem. And of course, it's very classic for us is that if we think we can help them grow, then of course we want to have a stake in it, right? And that's basically sort of how the deal is constructed.
Does this mean that Animoca is buying Avalanche the token, or is it primarily?
Yeah. I mean, we're investing, right?
So that partnership allows us to have access to the Middle East, more access to Asia because we're big in Asia. It's more than just gaming. Like, it's not gaming anymore. There's real world assets. He and I were just talking about the new push into the integration of AI and blockchain with agentic. There are things that are happening on Avalanche that's agentic payments related as well as AI related. He and I are thinking about what can we do together because there's a push on both sides, but maybe we can join forces and do it because
huge things happening. I want to go to one more clip here because this is the Netflix president of gaming talking about what they're building. Take a look.
It's about expanding fandom. And here we are on a platform that reaches more than 800 million people. Without having to have a special hardware, we can use your phone as a controller. You can go from watching a show to playing a game, and you had even like some perks if you were watching a show because we linked the account. You were able to have certain characters that you discover in the show that coming into the game. What we're working on is a world where you'll finish a season of your favorite show. The last sequence should be, or the last scene should be the first scene of the game, enabling you to start telling your own story in the world that you want to be part of. Start something on the TV, carrying it on your phone, share it with your friends. But we have a lot of team trying to build up a more robust platform. And with the games that are coming, like FIFA or other games that we have not announced yet, I feel that you'll see more and more of this new language appearing.
But is there anything you'd like to kind of tease, maybe about the future?
I believe, and I didn't think I was going to see it, in my active career. But I feel we're going to see it, a place where you can watch a show, but it's an instance of a game running out, and that once you have an action scene and it's not done the way you would like to see it, or you think you can do it better, you just take the controller, take responsibility of the action, get a special reward, or maybe you lost one of your partner, and then you say, okay, this is how I see it happening. You put back the controller, and then you start seeing the action carrying on based on the input you put. We are very, very close, if not in the possible realm of doing this in the next few years, and this I'm very excited about.
All right, so what you saw there, very forward-looking, and I get that. Yes, that's a very edge case, but think about that. When you look at how these companies take on these early-stage, major psychological and market trends, and that could even go into the hardware side of things if you think about just Nintendo and what Netflix is trying to do, because they're going after the mobile devices. And you look at the most, I think, competitive challenger that Netflix had, well, it was TikTok. K-pop Demon Hunters that, of course, got crazy on TikTok and absolutely exploded. And then, of course, it became something on Netflix. But it became something so much because of the social interaction. I think this is what forced Netflix's hands to do this right here. And that was doubling down on vertical video for mobile. And this is going to get into clips feeds. This will be something how you almost go into cycling through, whether it's on TikTok or Instagram or even YouTube Shorts, of understanding how to get to content that you really want to watch. Probably going to be tracking your movements in the sense of understanding what you want to watch because of the things that you are watching. So I see this as an opportunity here for Netflix. And again, this all goes back to where are these stocks and these crypto digital asset prices right now. If you look at the algorithmic line right here on Netflix, over history, we haven't seen this this goes all the way back to 2008. Right there was 2012. Then the last time we saw that, of course, was back here in 22. That was the major dip. We all know what that is. But the point is we're nearing that again. And this could be a huge opportunity of trading Netflix. So if you're somewhere in the range of looking at, if you were to start, let's say, buying and just, dollar cost averaging down to $60 and then seeing a doubling on that, because essentially that's what would happen there. If you're coming in somewhere in that, your average would be somewhere in that 65 range coming off that. Now, that's a doubling of the asset right there. And that is based on everything that Netflix is building toward, all that cash that they're sitting on, and the opportunity of AI is in front of them now. It's not behind them, it's in front of them. So a lot of opportunity for sure. Looking at Avalanche, kind of in the same way. It is as depressed now, outside of when this token first got launched, and the last time we saw it way back in 2021. This is where we are again. So if you believe in what RWA moves that Avalanche is making, if you believe what they're doing on the evolution of ticketing and how they are going to get into sports, then the opportunity is real. If you look at where this is trading at now, in that $7 range, down to right about there, which would be at about 440, okay? That would be the potential range there on Avalanche based on this. And I know many of you people will say Avalanche absolutely cooked. Maybe this isn't for you guys, but I'm just looking at all of this advancement, timing in the market. Are we further into the bull run? And is there a big opportunities? Because these could be ones to be on the run here and keep a very close eye on. Just to look at Avalanche, just to show you guys real quick. Avalanche setting at number 29, right now at 2.6 billion. If they come in and do that kind of move, we are talking about taking out Cardano, possibly even Stellar, and they could be one of the winners on this next major cycle. So one last thing before we go. I know everybody's saying, well, Paul, you got to be doing a video on what's happening in the markets. Yes, but there's a lot of research that needs to be done to really understand this, because you are looking at a potential crater here on Stretch. This could really impact MicroStrategy. That's the low right now on the daily at around 80 bucks, 79.99 on Stretch right there, trading down 5, almost 6%, currently priced at 82. This has depegged in a big way. This puts continued pressure on MicroStrategy and will put continued pressure on Bitcoin. I think this may be it, guys. If we're going to see a major dip, this may be one of the catalysts that start the process. Cash is going to be a very golden thing right now, because there's going to be some opportunities on a lot of these different assets, including traditional assets that may be getting hit in the major markets as well. We'll be covering that tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe, drop a comment down below, and also join our free private member group. The link is in the description.